Okay, in this quick video I'm going to show you how to capture a server-side trace in MDX. So probably everyone knows how to do this for SQL Server, but how do you do this for analysis services? So the starting point is you're going to need a trace file. So I'm going to go to the desktop. Here is this. I'm going to need a trace definition file. So I could capture a trace just by using Profiler. So if I connect to analysis services, I can get a standard trace and I could subscribe to a load of events, right? The problem, as most of you probably know, is that Profiler is quite intrusive, and you probably want a server-side trace that doesn't have a GUI and stuff like that and can be automated, right? Now, depending on what we want to do, if we're looking for query replay, we probably only need the query begin and the query end events, right? Which is here. So that's event 9 and 10. Okay. Now we might also, if we're doing performance tuning, we sometimes capture the subcube events because this helps us see whether we're hitting aggregations and stuff like this. I'm just assuming that I'm capturing it for replay, so I want to capture the query begin and the query end. Okay, just the default ones, right? So I can run my trace. If I was to start a particular workload now, so I'm just going to start a workload running away, that's just a set of reports there, I can see in my profiler that's capturing that on the client, but it's not a server-side trace, right? To save it as a server-side trace, I export the trace definition. It'll ask me where I want to export it to, right? I'm just going to export it to the desktop because it's just an example. And then I can edit the definition, okay? So I'll give you a little bit of a, here's one I prepared earlier. Here's a, this is effectively an XMLA file, a command that can be run. So you see there's some extra things I might want to put in there, like the ID, the name, where I want to save it to, its maximum size, if it rolls over, and here's the event. So you see 9 is query begin and 10 is query end. So this is just a capture for query replay. It's not a tuning one. There'll be more events in tuning. Once I have my XMLA, I could manually run this. A better thing to do is probably to create a batch file. So I create a little batch file called start trace that uses the ASCMD. So this is the free analysis services command program that you can download from Codeplex. Okay. So now when I want to start a server-side trace, I just run this start trace, and that's now started a server-side trace, and it's creating and it's put into my output folder. If I rerun my workload, there goes my workload. Once I'm finished with the capture, I can stop the trace. So let's just go back to here. I've got an XMLA file here, which I'm going to show you, which will stop the trace file. It's just delete followed by the trace ID. Now I could run that from the command prompt as well, but I'm just going to interactively run that. That trace file is now stopped. My workload is probably running, and we go to my output folder. Here's my trace file. Oh, open that. Okay. Once I have my trace file, you could just replay it from here. Okay, so if I hit the replay, I can start replaying the MDX at the server, or what I usually do is export it into a SQL Server table. So if I export it to a trace table, I can select database. I'm just going to put it into temp for the moment. Bob trace, and I've now got. If I go into the SQL Server, put it in tempdb. Now I've got a lovely table that has all my query begins with hopefully my text, my parameters if it comes from reporting services, and my query end. It's even got my query timing information, like I should have duration and stuff like that. With duration, there it goes. So I can see the average time. So most of my queries were quite quick. This one was 3.5 seconds. There was a lot of CPU work on that. It's probably Formula Engine bound there. Okay, so that's how to create a trace definition file and to automate the start and stopping of a server-side trace.